just want you to know, like, mentally in my mind, I just snatched you through it.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to a brand new episode of the Loan Limit Podcast. I'm your girl, Chelsie. This is Ashlee.
Hey.
I can't believe, we're almost into spooky season now. It's weather. Don't come for me in my singing, all right? It's just, I'm really excited. I love fall. This is like when I come alive.
Okay.
What?
Okay, I'm a fall person too. I don't feel like I've seen you be this like giddy for a season, so I'm excited to see it.
Yo, like, I have always said that fall is my happy place because it's not too hot, it's not too cold, it's sweater weather. All right.
Yes, love a good sweater weather.
I have more hoodies in my closet than I have long sleeves. All right.
I believe that.
This is the time to shine. I've got festive ones for Christmas. I have everything ready, okay? Now, the only thing I need to focus on is that spooky season TBR. I don't know what I'm reading, okay? We've got some stuff planned now for the show.
Yes.
But as
I think this is actually like our reading list for like spooky season is like the most ahead book wise we've been. Like we know what we're reading for spooky season.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. We are so far ahead. We like normally guys, we pick it one week and then we film the following week. All right. Because we try and stay as up to date as possible. Mm-hmm. But as we've established, I have put parental controls. That too, but I've also put parental controls on everything. So what we're reading for the show is not exactly what I'm looking for my personal spooky season TBR. So
right, which I super duper respect and appreciate.
So if y'all have recommendations or if y'all have already figured out your spooky season TBR, drop it down below because I'm looking for some stuff. All right, I might read Haunting Adeline this year. It keeps popping up.
I keep hearing it. I didn't realize that was like a seasonal thing, though.
I mean, it's just dark enough that for my spooky season... Listen, there's a circus. I know that much, and I don't like clowns, so that's scary enough. All right? Maybe I'll try and read a Stephen King novel this year. Might not happen. But we gonna see.
Definitely not on my radar.
What about you? What do you like to do for spooky season? Are you let me put a special TBR together, or you're just kind of like, ooh, look at the colors on the leaves changing?
Definitely, ooh, look at the pretty colors. That's a Dexter Laboratory throwback. Wow, I reached back for that one. I am a Libra. And I'm a fall baby, so my favorite season, October is one of my favorite months. Funny enough, as much as I love being an October baby, I don't like the spookiness that comes with it. I know, people are gonna come for me.
Shocker.
It's just because I'm a fraidy cat, so that's the reason why. So, literally, like, and I don't like pumpkins. I don't like the taste of pumpkins, so everything being, like, pumpkin flavored is a little bit annoying, but cider... I rock with. Cider, everything I rock with. But it definitely, like, it's like the beginning of, like, the end of the year kind of vibe. Like, for me, once October comes over, it's like the beginning of the end of the year where you're kind of getting into, like, all the holidays backing up to it. So and the changing of the seasons, I really love it. So, putting together, like, a special TBR has never been on my radar. In fact, I had to, like, put effort into, like, ours for the podcast. I don't just, like you said, it's like sweater weather. You get the little fuzzy socks out. Sports, like football, like there's so many games on. So I just get cozied up on the couch. Whatever happens with my time happens. And just let it rock.
I've got my Halloween quilt out on the bed. I'm ready.
I love that for you.
I feel judgment. All right, Alexis. All
We've
right, I feel the
established
judgment.
when I say that, I don't mean it to be shady. I generally love that for you.
So, Jay, you left me unattended again, and I am so enraged by the books I read to keep the time going. You know, just like to
That's
help time
hilarious.
pass.
Because we had like
I
very minimal contact. Like, very minimal.
right.
It was like send a pigeon, it's on a twig.
And because you left me unattended, I am so ready to explode with the thoughts that I have in my head right now. We need to get into
This
it.
is like the best. I think this is the most like no contact for the book that we've done, and like not even on
Yes.
purpose. It was just by happenstance. Like I didn't have a choice. So yeah.
I'm trying to stay calm as I bring up our first hot topic.
I'm so nervous because I usually know what these are. I know what none of them are, and I tried to ask, and Chelsie wouldn't tell me. So it's gonna be some real
The funny thing
unfiltered
is-
thoughts, or you're just gonna see my mind loading.
I sent them to her. Like, I sent her. Okay, this is how bad it was, guys. I rage texted her about some stuff. All right. So she's actually read them. She just probably doesn't remember what they are. But I read a book.
I probably thought that they were friend thoughts and not podcast thoughts, and so I didn't categorize them as remember for later. That's probably what happened.
That's fair. I read a book. Number one, the book was bad. Like,
Ooh.
when I tell you it was
Now,
bad,
did
like, I
you
literally
finish
was
it?
like, yes.
Why?
Yes.
Okay. You read a bad book.
Because-
That's on you, but continue.
Here's the deal. I read a book by this author that was phenomenal. Like, I mean, Bad Boys, now that's how you supposed to shoot. Phenomenal, right? So I said, okay, let me explore some more in this catalog, you know? Let's see if it's a fluke. And based on the book I read, it's got to be a fluke. I refuse to accept any other answer. But the part that really made me mad wasn't that it was a bad book, you know?
Mm-hmm.
The part that made me mad is this author chose to make the male main character Hispanic, but it didn't tie into the book at all. And based on the author's name, once again, I'm not saying it on this podcast, but based on the author's name, I'm assuming they're not a person of color. So why they chose to make their main male character a different nationality, but not do anything with it except for give me some sort of like Google Translate Spanish, I'm infuriated.
First of all, Google Translate be saving my life, all right? I literally used it today.
Accurate.
This is also true because I did use it today. We were both a little confused and we had to figure it out. Okay,
Right.
I know where you're coming from. I absolutely respect it. I most likely also lean more into agreeing with you. But
There's
I
just
think
no
for different
need.
reasons.
There's no need.
Okay, so maybe I should like make sure we're on the same track because I don't think we are, but maybe we are. I don't know. So you're saying that let's say the author is white. I don't know for sure, but let's say the author is white. So you're saying that if the main character's culture doesn't have an important impact on the book, the main character should not be of a different race or nationality or culture.
What I'm saying is if you are not a person of color and you're going to write a story that involves someone of color, there's got to be a reason, okay? And like I understand people wanting to create more visibility into other cultures, but when okay, let me just give you a breakdown. It's a mafia story, right? Where it's a forced marriage.
Okay.
And the main male character is Hispanic. But it literally doesn't play a part in the book at all. Like,
so it felt really checkboxy.
It felt checkboxy, and I just remember finishing it and going, but what was the point? Like, I would have accepted this as a mafia story if it was two white people, two Italians. I accepted an Irish, like IRA and like all of that, would have accepted it the way it was. But if you're going to step out of your normal realm to do something like this, tie it in, and also like do research,
do it justice
on how to properly say things, because it was like certain words were in Spanish, like it was just like random phrases, like none of it felt fluid. And I just literally, like, as someone who's from California, shout outs to Cali, I grew up around lots of Mexicans, Hispanics in general. So I say certain words with a Spanish accent. I know a lot about the culture. I'm not saying I'm an expert, but if I were to write a story, right, I have that exposure. I have the knowledge to, on some level, work it into it feels right.
Yeah.
But to just make a gangster Hispanic for no reason, just, I really, like, what is your take on reading a book by a white author who chose to write a person of color, but it literally means nothing?
It's so interesting, because I feel like before I was definitively like, no, please don't do that. Like, who allowed you to do that? Like, those kind of vibes. And it's funny because I feel like I've now read a couple of authors that have done it and done it well, where I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I do lean towards no, not because you can't or whatever, but it's more so just like, it's not your story to tell. And so if you're gonna do it, you have to do it well and do it justice. And I think that's just the biggest thing. So you have to do the character justice. You have to do their culture justice. You have to, like you said, put the research in. And I say, like, put the research in, like, oh, go study. Because at that point, it's like, that's not your story to tell. That's not your story to tell.
Right.
But in the sense of just, like, if you're gonna include it, make sure that it is relevant, it's appropriate, it's all the things are correct. Yeah, I feel like if it's not an authentic experience, don't do it. Like, just don't. Like, for perfect example, I think, like, Nancy Meyers, the director, she makes fantastic movies. Nancy Meyers. Is that not her name?
Can I get a movie? I don't know who you're talking about.
Oh, it's like Something's Gotta Give. It's Complicated.
Oh, yeah.
I think she's a phenomenal director. I think a lot of criticism about her movies is like they are all white. It's like all like well off, like financially, whatever the case may be. And my thing is like, yeah, at the same time, if you look at Nancy's circle and experiences, that's what she knows. She tells that story extremely well. For me, if she were to go to put like random ethnicities and whatever in the story and they didn't have purpose, I'd be like, ooh, we just checking boxes, and it would feel very unauthentic. So as much as I do want representation everywhere and everywhere, on some cases it is authentically not there. So I don't like when authors force it, or in any way, but I just don't like when authors force it. If it's a story that you know, it's a story that you've been close with, it's like burning in you to tell it, fantastic, tell it. Yeah. Don't make your main character Hispanic just because the publisher is like, hey, we need Hispanic authors, or you're not getting a slot. Because then it's just like, then that slot is for Hispanic writers that have authentic Hispanic characters. Right. Not just you checking a box. Like, it's so weird because it's, you know, it's art and it's creative. So who are to say like you can and you can't do that? But I just feel like authenticity really shines through. And as an audience, we know. So I'm not going to tell an author they can't write something, but I think we can definitively say that we know it's not real when we read it and it feels ingenuous. So just do the characters justice, do the culture that they're representing justice. If it's not your story to tell, don't tell it.
Yeah. So while I was already fired up about this author then chose.
I feel like you should have really just DNF'd this book. Like, why were you stressing yourself? Did you need me to tell you to stop stressing out? Did I forsake you on the boat?
No, because the thing was, is like I was reading it and the story overall just wasn't good. But I was like, let me just see, like, let me just make it to the end, right? But then it was like,
You know, you
as
could
I
just skim.
finished, no, no,
You coulda.
I'm going to step over that steaming pile of caca, and we're gonna keep going.
All right, continue.
So, this author then chose to infuriate me with what I consider one of the 7 deadly sins of being an author.
Ooh, I don't think I know this list of yours.
Do not write an epilogue with a cliffhanger in it, thinking that you're going to convince me to read the next book.
Yeah.
Okay? Number 1, I'm an Aries, okay? I am stubborn, so I'm putting my foot down. And number 2, the epilogue is supposed to give me closure, all right? If you wanted to do a cliffhanger, you do it somewhere else in the book. We're not, no. And so I'm really curious if I am in a boat of one, or if you agree with me on this, because I'm really, like, I've read 2 books now where they've used the epilogue to set up book 2 instead of using the last chapter or the last couple of chapters. So what are your thoughts on this? Because, yeah.
Okay, before I respond to this, though, quick question. If the book itself ends in a cliffhanger, do you have the same reaction?
No, I don't. Here's the thing.
Okay. Even if it ends, the book itself ends on a cliffhanger and no epilogue.
That's a good book. That's a good book. You have written a story.
Okay.
And it has to be like a full story. Like, don't give me, like, I've done this before where I have read a book and it is like a novella essentially because they cut the story so short, but they never completed the storyline. Like, you could complete a storyline and still give me a cliffhanger enough to move on to book 2. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like,
yeah.
For example, I just finished the Hunger Games trilogy. Shout outs to Suzanne Collins because phenomenal. But book 2 ends in a cliffhanger, but the overall storyline of book 2 was complete. It just was set up for book 3. But had I walked away, I would have known the full story of book 2. And that's fine with me.
That's important. And that's exactly why I asked that question, because I had to make sure that you weren't just anti-cliffhanger and not just anti-cliffhanger in a epilogue. I agree completely.
No, I love a good
Do
cliffhanger.
not put a cliffhanger. Do not put a cliffhanger in an epilogue. What are we doing? What are we doing? If you're gonna have it on a cliffhanger, end the book on a cliffhanger and stick to that. Don't put a cliffhanger in the epilogue, because check it out. I could have just stopped reading at the end of the book. Why are you playing games with my emotions? I do not like
this
it
book,
definitively, because it's supposed to wrap up everything, put a bow on top. Okay, done. Also, side rant, and we probably already ranted about this on the show, in terms of like using epilogues that aren't even a part of the original story to just set up the next book. What are we doing? So, like, yeah, I'm not a fan of that. Yeah.
The epilogue.
I feel like we feel the same way. Just like sound effects make it all just.
To put it in perspective, in this book, they introduce a character in the book, and they start her storyline, right? Mm-hmm. And then she just disappears.
Oh no!
Disappears. Like, the main male character hints at something about her. And it's not, like, in a good way. Like, it's not like, oh, we're still working through this storyline. It's very much like, oh, I'm going to just throw this in a random chapter so that you'll want to read book 2. So then at the epilogue, which wasn't, in my opinion, a true epilogue. Like, an epilogue to me is like hey, let's give you a peek into their future and how happy they are. Mm-hmm. This epilogue was like, hey, here's a scene like 3 days later. Not much has changed, but now here's this random character that we brought up in like chapter 3 that we're just going to throw in now so that you want to know what's going on and read book 2.
Okay, quick side note. Is that the author's fault? Is that the publisher's fault? Is that the editor's fault? Because I feel like someone should catch this. That
All
is
of them.
incomplete writing to me.
The audacity of the author to put this in their book, all right? And then the audacity of the editor to say, yeah, this is good. And then the audacity of the publisher for saying, yeah, let's put this out the way it is. No. No.
Audacity just on sale today.
You know, there's so many checks and balances before a book hits the shelves that I just really want to know how you convince so many people that this was the right path.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of it. Here's the thing. I will say this. Let's ask, are there people that like this? Because this will be our opinion. Maybe there is an audience for it, and that's why publishers are like, people love this, so we're going to keep doing this. If you love it, let us know. Obviously, we are not a fan, but I would generally like to know who does like this, and could you kind of tell me why?
Yeah, like, if you enjoy this type of writing, please state your case below, all right?
Yeah.
Prove me wrong. Maybe I'm not taking it in the way it should be, and maybe, just maybe, I was just in a mood to hate, all right? Because that's possible. I mean, if you can convince me I'm wrong, I'll accept it.
Yeah, I'm not.
Jay's not signing up for that.
I'm not co-signing that. I'm not co-signing that at all. I'm not co-signing that at all.
Was loud, bro.
I'm not co-signing that at all. But please, I'm not even kidding. Please let me know if you like it and literally tell me why. I'm open to the new perspective of digesting a book. For my preference, I'm not a fan. But I would really like to know if people do like this, which is why it is done. Because I would... Yeah. Here's the thing. As a reader...
I love a good cliffhanger.
Yeah, when appropriate, yes. But obviously not in the epilogue. But my thing is, like, I'm not, like, looking to put limits on authors, on artists. Like, your work is your work. How you create it is your creation. And how you want to put it out to the world, it's a beautiful thing. On some level... Yeah, exactly. But, asterisk, on some level, it's kind of just like, if it feels incomplete, was this an artistic choice, or was this an issue that either wasn't flagged? You know what I mean? So that's where I'm kind of just kind of like, I don't want to tear apart an author's work. I don't want to tear apart, their thought process, what they poured into the pages. But like I said, if it feels incomplete, if it feels like we got gypped as a story, like that's one of my biggest things. When I feel gypped as a story, that will make me rant on for days. Yeah. Because why did you waste my time to not finish telling me the story? Next topic.
Well, this is kind of a segue. Because today's book kind of falls into this situation.
Dun, dun, dun.
In like a soft cliffhanger sort of way. Today's book, y'all. Really, Jay and I are gonna disagree on today's book. I'm gonna just let y'all know now.
We haven't talked about it, but I already know we are. I just can sense it. I can sense it.
I'm so scared to even intro this book, y'all, because I'm not ready for the argument that's about to go down. Today's book is called A Proposal They Can't Refuse. I'm gonna tell you right now, I could have. It's a frenemies to lovers fake marriage scenario.
I feel like it hit a lot of tropes because you have the fake dating / marriage, you have the forced proximity, you have the like you said, frenemies to lovers, and I call them frenemies. Frenemies, because I said you have the friends to lovers and you have the enemies to lovers. So yeah, frenemies to lovers, and then you also have second chance.
Let me. Sorry, guys.
I think it counts.
No, I need to write something down that we are going to discuss later about this book, but I don't want to knock what you're saying, so I'm gonna just write it for later.
Are we taking notes again? Is that what we're doing?
It's not notes for our relationship. It's notes for the book.
Okay. All
so
right.
maybe it's my relationship with the book.
Possibly. I was like, I thought we fixed our stuff. I thought we already talked that through. But okay.
You know, if you stop abandoning me for Puerto Rico, we'd be fine.
To be fair, it's family stuff. It's really family stuff.
I know. I know. But
I know you
let's get into this book.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on this book?
I don't want to say.
Please share, because my mama told me that if I had nothing nice to say, then I should just not say anything. So I'm gonna need you to speak.
I feel like this is one of those books we're gonna have very different opinions on, and I'm just gonna let it rock. I really, really like this book. It was very much a me kind of book, and I feel a little bad about it because I didn't realize it. I mean, this is my first time reading the book. I read it with my eyes. I gobbled it up. Kind of by necessity, but also just like once I started, I couldn't really stop. So I gobbled it up. It was very interesting because I'm literally in Puerto Rico right now, and even though that they are set in Chicago, the main female character, his entire family is Puerto Rican. The restaurant's Puerto Rican flags everywhere.
Did I say
Puerto Rico, Puerto Rico, Puerto Rico? So
did I say it's immersion? It's immersion reading.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I kind of felt like a little extra Boricua pride, like reading this book while in Puerto Rico. So I really, really liked it. I thought that the culture, honestly, for both characters. So I think it's Camilla, but I'm very name biased just because it sounds similar to mine.
I listened to the sample of the audiobook, and it was like Camila. It wasn't like a Camilla. It wasn't pronounced the way
I'm gonna call her by her
assumed it
nickname,
was.
which is actually the nickname I used to have when I was like really, really young. But Mila. So Mila.
Oh yeah.
The Puerto Rican culture is very, very strong. But then Liam, his Irish culture is very, very strong with like his lineage. So, what's that face for?
So here's the thing, right? I feel like on paper, the Irish heritage was strong.
Okay.
But in terms of character, I didn't get it.
Okay.
Like, I was reading this book, and number one, I noticed that even with Killian, who is the grandfather of Liam, he's newly immigrated, or he immigrated, you know. Killian is, not Killian, Liam is second generation, born in the U.S. And Killian's dialogue is not written as if he has an accent, but if you listen to the audiobook, they give him an accent. And I was like, number one, that's weird. Number two, there's really only like 5 words that are written as if they come with an Irish accent. And I was like, you didn't have to make him Irish at this point, because you're not giving Irish.
Okay. Interesting. I felt like his Irish culture was kind of represented well. I think it had a lot to do with because of the company and all the heritage that was steeped into that, and the creation of their whiskeys. Wait, they did whiskey. It wasn't bourbon, in their whiskeys. And then like all of the like from the lands, like stories that passed down was enriched in it, and he was so ingrained with the company. I felt like it was represented well.
Like, in that sense of like the company, it was represented well. Now, if you were to take him out of that whiskey distillery and put him literally anywhere else, would you still get that same vibe?
Okay. Valid. And I want to fight this. I do want to fight this, but I can't, because Mila, if you take her out the restaurant, she is Puerto Rican all day.
That's what I'm saying. It's like if we
Okay.
took Liam and put him in a corporate job, you would have no clue that he's Irish other than the fact of how he refers to his grandfather. Now, Mila, on the
Okay.
other hand, her family
Yeah.
stands 10 toes down in their Puerto Rican pride. All right?
Mm-hmm.
The mofongo you could smell from a block away.
Yeah, they did not play from the neon frog on the side to
That's
the
what I'm
table shaped like
saying.
the island. Like they did not play about Puerto Rico. I will say this. This is something I learned from my dad several trips back from Puerto Rico. So I was going around Puerto Rico with my dad. Not this trip, but a couple trips back. And one thing I noticed, I was like, so why are like Puerto Rican flags not as prominent in Puerto Rico? Because where I'm from in New York, Spanish Harlem, all the things, Puerto Rico flag everywhere, Puerto Rico,
Puerto
in
Rico.
the car, it's in the back of the headset, everywhere.
Everybody's got a tattoo.
Word. And so my dad said something that has stuck with me in life, but it was also very specific to like Puerto Rico. And he said, well, Puerto Ricans on the island are here. Like our heritage is everywhere, our people are everywhere, we are surrounded by it. When Puerto Ricans off the island, they always want to call to it and make sure it stays relevant so they don't lose it, so they feel like they have to represent it more. And that concept sticks with me so hard. So say all that to say, Mila and her family having Puerto Rico everywhere, like, yes, it was an onslaught. Yes, it was an onslaught, but it's very true to how Puerto Ricans, and I think we can definitely say, like, even other cultures as well, but it's definitely true to how Puerto Ricans are off the island, which is very much holding true to their culture, like, even to the fact to the food don't change anything, like it's, oh my God, when one of the cousins was like, one of Mila's recipes, this isn't even Puerto Rican food anymore, I started fighting with myself, because I was like, I'm sorry, what?
Was she like made like pineapple coleslaw or something?
Yeah, I disagree. That hurt me, and I disagree. I understand. Here's the thing. I think she can say it's not authentic Puerto Rican food. That's an accurate statement. But to say that it's just not Puerto Rican food anymore, miss, we can fight.
Here's the funny thing. Here's the funny thing.
Are we about to fight?
We are.
Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. I'm ready. Hold on. I'm not. Hold on. Continue.
I can't believe you just put me on hold and I actually sat here on hold.
I had to mentally get right. I had to mentally prepare myself.
Here's the thing, right? Like, I am like 15th generation American at this point. Like, I'm being dramatic with the number, guys. Wow. Relax.
Okay.
Yeah, but like, what culture I have is Southern, right? Like, my mom's mother is from the boonies, all right, of the South. So is her father. Like, and I can tell you right now, if you start switching up some recipes and start trying to make things a little too fancy, we gonna cut you down. We gonna tell you right here, right now, I don't know what you doing, take that back to the city, but out here in the boonies, we don't do that. Because I think you'll understand if I put it this way. Those recipes are a direct connection to who we are. That pride that we have. Your family's pride of being Puerto Rican, my family's pride from being from the South, right? So when you start changing things, it's almost like ties that tether how Azere's mom was like, you're becoming white in a sense. It's like that, like you're losing who you are when you start making modifications. And so that's kind of the argument the cousin was trying to make in this book. Granted, the cousin was a little aggressive. And I think it wasn't even the cousin. I think it was one of her brothers. I think it was Leo who said it.
It was one of her female cousins. I remember specifically because I was ready to fight her. Yeah. It was one of the female cousins.
Was it Luce?
No, it was like Luce? One of the side ones. Like, it was like Gabby. Oh. It was like Gabby or like one of the ones in construction or something.
Yeah. So... I
disagree with you on this. I understand where you're coming from. I absolutely disagree with you on this. Because I think about it like this. Like,
you're wrong.
I just want you to know, like, mentally in my mind, I just snatched you through
The way
Like, if
I
you
feel
said you
so
wrong, I
combative
said,
about
"Girl,
this one.
we gonna have this in person fight later, but I'll make my point. I just think about it like this: Jamaican food, Jamaican culture is the thing that I'm probably the tightest to because it's what I've been raised in consistently most of all my life, whatever, family, everything like that. I think authentic Jamaican food is delicious. I think Jamaican fusion food is also delicious. For
But they're
me,
different.
Jamaican, I understand that it's different, and yes, I understand that it's different. I agree with you. There's a distinction, absolutely, but for me, Jamaican food that's fusion with either other cultures or that has infused flavors of where you're having it doesn't diminish the culture that it comes from, the Jamaican culture it comes from. It just means that it's also incorporating where it's at, whether that be for cultural, not cultural, whether that be for financial reasons because you want to make sure you're selling appropriately, so your market will dictate that, or if it's just for the fact of whoever's making the food has certain ideas, they wanted to change some things. I'll tell you right now, one of my favorite restaurants by my place in New York, they have a whole menu called Rock Italian, and everyone is like appalled that like why does this Jamaican spot have Italian food? They have Rock Chinese too. Every single thing on that list is delicious.
What?
And when I bring my friends
Rock?
who are not Jamaican, like so literally they make like pasta dishes with Jamaican flavors and meats and stuff like that. So
I don't think I'm cultured enough to get this.
I'm gonna tell you right now, it's delicious. So like in their Chinese menu is literally like fried rice, but they make it with like jerk chicken as opposed to just like I don't know what regular fried rice is made with. I'll be honest, but they make it with jerk
chicken, shrimp.
Okay, well they basically make like the Jamaican infusion version of it. Now they have authentic dishes on the menu, and that's a staple. That's not going anywhere. But it's like in addition to if you want to try something different, whatever. So and it's all delicious. So for me to just say like, oh, because she was making changes, it's just not Puerto Rican food anymore. I don't know. To me, it was a little bit offensive because I was just like, I understand it's not authentic. I understand it's not how your mama made it. I understand it's not how your grandmother made it. I understand that. But to still pull from those flavors, to pull from those recipes, to pull from that influence, and then add something new that is also something you want to try, you want to do, the flavors still work. It's still delicious. Again, I don't think it's authentic, but to just say that it's not connected to the culture is a bit much for me. And I'm saying this across the board. I'm obviously a Puerto Rican reading this book that's teaching Puerto Rican culture. Like I said, as a Jamaican, seeing Jamaican fusion foods. Like, for me, one of my favorite foods are foods that of different cultures combined. Like, for me, on just a regular week, I'll get Mexican, Italian, Indian takeouts. And then by the time I'm on the third day of it, I'm having all that on one plate because it's delicious when you add them together. So that's just me. I like a combination. Listen, if you dip a pizza in some masala, girl, I know you're judging me, but I'm telling you it's delicious. I've
had like tikka masala pizza before, and it was good. But how do I put this? It's like going to Italy and asking for chicken Alfredo when you know you're about to get cussed out in Italian.
Okay, literally, I'm in Puerto Rico right now. I'm not going to go to a Puerto Rican restaurant and be like, hey, can I get the pineapple slaw sandwich? No, because here it's authentic things. But if I'm in Chicago and it's not Puerto Rico, I'm okay if it's not authentic Puerto Rican food there.
But this is, okay, but see, here's the thing. Like, you're putting certain conditions on this, right? Like, you're saying, like, if I'm in Puerto Rico, I wouldn't request this. But...
Right.
If I'm in Chicago, it's okay. And her cousin was saying, this isn't Puerto Rican food because I couldn't go to Puerto Rico and order this. Like, they're not going to Abuelita's house and asking for this dish, which is why the cousin was saying it's so far off it's no longer Puerto Rican food. I'm not asking you to agree with me in this moment. I'm just translating what the cousin is saying. Okay.
I hear you.
To be a little stubborn.
That's how I read it as well.
I
and
see
that's also
you.
why I was just like,
All right. Let's switch gears here, because I do have one nice thing to talk about.
You like reaching deep for this one nice thing.
It's the one thing that got me into this book. And that is the relationship of the two grandpas. Abuelo,
oh my god.
And Killian, because I'm not going to even attempt to say granddad with an Irish accent. I discovered while reading this that my brain only knows Scottish. Yeah, I can only do Scottish. I can't do it Irish. But their relationship, literally, I would read a whole book about their little escapades through the decades.
You know they stored up some stuff, too. Here's the thing I love about them. They met in the military, right? Like, I think it was like they served together.
Yeah. They served together in their 20s.
Yes. Their friendship has lasted so long and has been so strong that those families have been connected through generations. I thought that was the most beautiful thing.
Right? Like, to the point that Liam is out here speaking Spanish.
Word. Like, oh my god, I thought that was so cute.
I really wanted, like, a sexy time moment where he said something really wild, but then we got a closed door romance, and I was like, well, there's
okay, I had a feeling you were going to say it was closed door. I think it's a little cracked.
Here's the thing about this. She vented the door. She cracked it for one moment, and everything after that, she said, nah, you don't get to know. She said, here's some foreplay.
I was like, girl.
Talk about I'm sore. And I said, sore from what? Because I didn't read it.
What did we do?
Did it happen? Proof or it didn't happen is all I'm saying.
It was definitely, I still think it qualifies as cracked. Because, like, I look at this, so for me, like, a true closed door is like, anyone can read this. And I'm not naming the type. What?
I mean, like, I wouldn't let my 7-year-old read this, but, like,
obviously
not that I have kids, guys.
Not even on, okay. I don't know. I feel like
I'm sorry, do you
there's a draft in the
sentence?
Door. No.
Like,
I feel like this is a draft in the door. I don't think it's all the way closed. It's not nearly open. But I feel like if there's a crack, there's a shimmy in the door. Oof.
There is literally one scene, and this is why I say it's a closed door romance. Mm-hmm. Here are my arguments for this, all right? Number one, we got one sex scene, right? There was one.
Okay.
That we got we got some sort of description in, right?
Okay.
Everything else was kind of hinted at or, like, kind of written in passing, right? Number two.
Uh-huh.
The way you look so defeated to agree with me on this.
Go ahead.
Number two. I'm a hardcore smut reader, all right, guys. I'm not gonna front with y'all. Reading their initial hookup, I literally was like, she's not even saying the body part, so I don't even know where his hands are. Like, I literally was like, his mouth is where? His mouth? His hand? What?
No. When they went from the distillery to the condo, and the way he picked her up, I really had to be like, I kid you not, I was like a fireman's carry? I literally had to be like, where was the wrist? Like, I was so confused, and then finally I was like, oh, he just like a sack.
Over the shoulder.
Yeah, but like, the way it was described, I was kind of like, Was it like this? Was it like, you know how you put the kids on your, I was like, was it like, I was a little confused, and yeah, anyway. I don't know.
To this day,
This
I
is how
don't even know how
determine-
she was laying on the table. I don't even know. I don't know.
I didn't initially, but then as things progress, you kind of go, okay, maybe like this. And
We're getting the shower scene from Mistakes Were Made all over again. And I didn't need it the first time. I don't need it the second time.
Here's my thing. For me, a closed door, it means I can read this aloud to my mom without doing any edits or without skipping any parts.
I'll accept that.
Thank you.
My mama's crazy.
Thank
all right.
you.
My mom is crazy. She was out here reading 50 Shades of Grey, and I said, you know what? I don't think I can look you in the eye for the next 6 months. I need you to go over there.
You know what's so funny? I kind of felt like, you know what, Mom, we're both grown. We should have like a closer relationship. And then I was in a family meeting with my siblings, and after that, I was like, Mom, we good. We don't need to talk about nothing. Stay over there. As I say that, as my mom is actually a really big fan of our podcast and watches every episode. So, hi, Mom.
What's up, Moms? I miss you.
So, she says hi to you, like, all the time. So that, for me, is what I consider closed doors. Like, if I'm reading it out loud to my mom, do I have to live edit or skip any parts? And I would have skipped the whole distillery.
So, here's the thing,
we would have
right?
woke up the next day with the chapter, and that would have been what my mom heard. So, that's why I'm just like, it's not all the way closed. The door's at least cracked.
So, we read Ties That Tether, and we felt like we were straddling the doorway.
Yeah, we were on the fence on that one.
To put it better than how I phrased it in that episode.
Why did you just say it like that this time? I don't like that.
Well, in the first episode, I said I felt like I was peeking through the window. In this one, I feel like I just walked by and heard sounds. Like, I feel like this one, I walked by and heard sounds. It wasn't that the door was open. I just heard it through the walls. I really can't win. I really can't.
We are out of sync on this episode. Like, did the boat divide us?
It's not the boat, it's the book.
Hilarious. I was so seasick. I couldn't even read it on the boat. I only read 2 chapters on the boat. I had to read it when I got on land.
All right, if I'm going to be honest, guys, for my America's Next Top Model fans, this was the moment when Tyra Banks said, I was rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. Yeah. That's how I felt about this book. Because I was very excited going into this book. And even if it was closed door romance, I could have still liked this book. Mm-hmm. But it just felt very discombobulating for me. That's the only way to describe it.
It's interesting you say that. I'm wondering, and it's because I kind of had, so I really liked it. For me, it gave me the tinglies. It gave me the feels. It was my kind of book. But one thing I didn't love, it was a lot of mental effort to keep track of all of the characters. And I do wonder, like, if this is going to be like a series and people are going to get stuff jumped off from the epilogue. We can kind of assume so. But it was also interesting because I felt like there were so many things being established with other characters, which I'm like, okay, that's fine. There's sub-characters, add depth to the book. But it came to this sense where I was just like, wait, who, what, where, huh? And this person is related to who? And granted, Mila has a huge family. Get that. She said she has like 47 people in like her family.
I love that she knows the number because I have no idea what my number is. Like, my family's
You know what's
big,
so funny? When I read that, I was like, is that a lot or a little? I was like, for Puerto Ricans, that feels like a little, but I was like, maybe it's a lot. I don't know.
Maybe it's just 47 in the Chicago area.
In Chicago. That's what I was thinking. I was like, maybe it's just in Chicago. I was like, because then, yeah, that's a lot. But anyway, like Sophie and Leo, I felt had like a thing popping off. And
yeah, I think they're another book. I think they're like book 3 or something.
Yeah, and I was like, I felt like we got a lot of insight into them that I didn't necessarily want in Mila and Liam's book. And then Sophie. Oh, not Sophie. Is it Ben? One of the football guys, and I can never remember which one is like current football versus past football. Yeah, they had another one with one of the other ones, and then the cousin, the bisexual cousin with the wife. Like, she flirted a lot with people to the point where a couple times I was like, wait, isn't she married? Like,
she's the one who has the thing with the football player, because she comes down during Halloween and he's flirting with her, and she's like, emphasis on the bisexual. And then her wife has to come here down. Comes her wife.
Like, listen, flirt what you want to flirt with, that's fine. But my thing was, like, I didn't feel like it was relevant to the story, especially because it couldn't really go anywhere. And it's like, I literally was reading it confused, like, is this a different cousin? I thought this one was married. Again, not saying that necessarily married people can do whatever in your relationship. Mine better not. But anyway.
But, like, we wasted pages on them when we could have used those pages for character growth in our actual main characters. Like, homie has PTSD and just magically starts to fix it at the end, and then there's an epilogue about him going to therapy. No. No.
Before we jump into Liam, can we take a little pit stop on Sophie?
Why?
Sophie. Girl.
No, okay, that came out mean. What I'm saying is why, in a sense of, like, the fact that we have to have this pit stop on a side character. Number one, I didn't like Sophie. Sophie was not a ride or die, if you ask me.
Ooh, why do you say that?
So the minute Mila comes to her cousins and Sophie and says, yo, it's all a farce, I need your help. She said, you gonna crash and burn.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
Jay, if you came to me, I said, yo, we riding this till the wheels fall off. I got your back.
We strategizing. We got index cards. Like, yes.
Listen, we putting a timeline together on the wall. All right, your first date was here. You started reconnecting here.
Yes.
Like, that to me felt so wrong. And even when there's that cute moment in the kitchen where Liam stands up for Mila and she kisses him, or like they hug, and then Sophie is still over there throwing up like little mental, like, this is gonna crash and burn. Like, I'd be like, yo, Jay, like, what's going on? It seems like, you know, the lines are getting a little blurred here. Do we need to talk?
I especially didn't like that Sophie did that in that instance, because you, as her best friend, can clearly see what you already suspected, that she's falling for him.
Yeah.
Instead of being on her about that, why don't you support her through it? And be like, hey, it looks like your feelings have changed. Maybe you need to have a conversation with him. And then even after they got, like, drunk after her, like, dirty 30 situation, and they went to, like, for the hangover the next day. And she was like, oh. And then she was like, oh, just cancel this one. And she was like, oh, I can't do that. She goes, okay, well, just cancel the other one. Like, girl, that's not a solution. Go home. Okay, no, but the reason why I wanted to bring her up, I want to hear your thoughts, because we're friends. Our friendship has blossomed and grown in a very beautiful way.
I feel like I'm being set up for something.
You're not. You're not. How would you feel when I read okay. How would you feel in Sophie's case after the whole admission thing with the microphone, finding out that your best friend was actually accepted to a school in Paris where you guys were both planning to go. She wasn't doing culinary school, but they were both planning to go study abroad together and start a life there. And it didn't happen. She doesn't know the reason why, but it didn't happen. And now all these years later, you find out. How would you feel about that?
I feel like some people on the internet are going to be mad at my response right now. But hear me out.
Ooh.
I would be hurt that as your best friend, you never felt comfortable enough coming to me and telling me what happened. That would hurt me to my core and make me reevaluate and be like, where did I not leave the door open for this conversation? I would not be mad and blame you for changing the whole trajectory of my life and shut you out after your whole engagement, which at this point was kind of real, just blew up in your face. Like, that part to me was wild, because at the end of the day, your mama said you weren't going to France, okay? You were 18 and your mama said no, and instead of you making your own way, you chose to be a good daughter and listen to your mother. That has nothing to do with Mila. It has everything to do with you and your mother. Do not put that on her.
Yeah.
That was a yeah with a
when
dot on it.
No, when I read that, I had a lot of thoughts. I had a lot of thoughts. The first one was kind of betrayal.
Yeah.
On
I remember
Sophie's
like
part, not Mila's part.
I like remember reading that and just like being like, "Are you serious right
now?" Yeah, like I read that and I was like, "Did I read that right?" Like I had that was my first reaction, and like the way it kind of laid out. I'm not gonna comment on the way it was written out because I think that could be like a whole other like writer's rant.
Yeah.
But the character, it was so jarring and it was so definitive where I was just like, wow, you don't even want to have the conversation. You're gonna really hold something against her from when you guys were teenagers. And again, she doesn't even know the reason why. She does not know the reason why. Yeah. Like her choosing family, and obviously that was like a whole thing in the book.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but we never got resolution on their friendship, did we?
No, that was my whole thing. It's definitive. From that conversation, it seems like she's just no longer friends with her. She's never going to talk to her because of this wrong she did. And that's just that. Here's my thing. I don't want to be friendship judgy. This book. I don't want to be friendship judgy.
But
I kind of feel like if you're her best friend, you should have known something over the past 13 years. Like, Chelsea, almost all of our communication is not in person because we don't live in the same place. I can, like, blink funny, and you're like, what's wrong? And I'm like, can I, like, blink? My best friend in New York, like, I can send him a voice note, and he'd be like, what's wrong? Your voice sounds weird. What? Sir? Can I just, like, have a frog in it for a day? Like, you being best friends with her in person for 13 years, and I understand you not knowing the specifics, but you couldn't tell something was what? And like you said, even though like you said, the way she was responding to Liam, like, girl,
I'm not a mathematician, but if your grandmother dies and then you choose not to follow your dream to France and magically didn't make it in, 2 + 2 is equaling 4. For me, I'm a hijack this whole conversation. I'm gonna catch you off guard and be like, so did you really not get in, or what's going on? Was it grandma? Are you in grief right now? Like, what's going on? Because it was literally, she got accepted, grandma died, she said I didn't get accepted. And the fact that Liam knew that she was BSing but Sophie didn't,
right? He'd known for years, he just never brought it up. But also, here's the other thing. So, girl, you only applied to one school in Paris? What we doing? What we doing? Yeah, I just, all right. Yeah. Okay, can I have a happy thought? Okay, go ahead.
Sure.
No, go ahead. It wasn't about Sophie.
Here's my thing about this book. Overall, there's not enough character growth for me to love the characters. And then we have all these little strings of, like, subplots that were never, ever taken care of. We just end it. And that, to me, threw me for the biggest loop. Because the thing was, it's like, for me, I didn't have a character that I could root for because no one was growing and changing. And it was like, in this kind of story, somebody gotta make some growth before the epilogue. You can't just do it in the epilogue and I'm gonna love it.
I hear you. There are flaws. I'm ignoring them. I liked it.
All right, Beyonce, you're just taking the flaws and all. I got it. Got it.
But can we just talk really quick about Mila and Liam as a couple? A real couple, not a fake couple, a real couple. Oh my God, the eye roll was so loud.
We can talk about
it. I want to say happy things, but I want to hear what you got to say first.
I loved that he created the whiskey that was for her. I know I just shocked you by saying that sentence.
You did. Yeah, you did.
I knew right away, as soon as he was like, this is my own special blend, and no, you can't have it, it's not going in the tasting, I was like, oh, it's her.
How you be knowing stuff? I literally didn't know until the end.
Yo, this is what happens when you read context clues because you like to solve cases. This is what you get.
I am not a detective. I need them to tell me what's going on.
The way you have a sixth sense for surprise pregnancies, I got a sixth sense for other things, okay? I loved that they were childhood best friends and neighbors, and they grew up together. I loved them reconnecting and her being the only one for him.
Okay.
That's where it ends.
Okay.
That's
okay.
So I'm gonna pass it to you. I'm sorry, guys. I'm such a grumpy. I'm such a grumpy person about this book, and I really want to apologize to y'all because I feel like I'm a child right now, just being like, I hate this book. But like,
I don't feel that way.
I really just was here for the grandpas. They were giving me like Grace and Frankie kind of vibes, you know?
Oh, I didn't think about that, but yes. Yes. Like their friendship was everything.
Yeah.
But to be fair, like the grandfather's friendships being everything, I think really actually led into Mila and Liam a little bit. Because like even Liam kind of had like a
Sorry, I had another moment that I thoroughly enjoyed in the book, and I got excited.
Okay, go ahead.
When Mila junk punches Liam in the first chapter, I was done for.
Oh my gosh. Really?
I thought it was the funniest thing ever.
I thought that was so ridiculous. I was like, really? Why are we doing this?
Don't sneak up on a person then.
It was valid.
But how did you
loved
feel
how the
about
grandpas
their
had
relationship?
shenanigans from the very beginning. Huh?
Yes. I said, how did you feel about Liam and Mila's relationship?
Yeah, I really did like them. They made me happy. I had the tinglies while reading. I have to find a name for that. I don't like it. That's the only way I can think to describe it. Like, when I read Jasmine Guillory books, I get them a lot often, too, where it's like, I feel the moments, like, physically in my body while reading. And that was why I like them. Which is, I'm just like, yes, the book has flaws. I'm ignoring all of them because it made me feel. And I like the fact that Liam loved quietly, but loudly at the same time.
Yes.
This is a little bit of a callback. You're going to hate me for this comparison. You're going to hate me for this comparison. It actually gave me a little bit of a callback to Ryan from Liz Sum 40, The Right Move. You're processing.
I'm putting my thoughts in order because yes and no.
Okay.
So with Liam, did Liam always understand Mila? Yes. Were there times where he did things quietly to show that he loved her? Yes. And were there moments that he did it loudly? Yes. But this is also the man who, how do I phrase this? He didn't just push her away. He shoved her away. And that to me, this woman says, I love you in a truck. It's just the two of you in the radio. And you said, oh, you know what? I'm gonna bypass that. Just. So, no. The way that he refused to say I love you, I I literally said all that does is just cancel out everything else. Like, it's literally written that he can see that she wants him to say it, and he just can't and won't do it. And I said,
yeah,
it doesn't matter what you do if the actions and the words don't align.
I'm gonna respectfully disagree.
I mean, at this point, I think that's just like a blanket statement throughout this entire
For the
book.
whole, yeah. As a person that is very hesitant to say I love you, oof. I get it. I get it. I get it.
Here's the thing though, Jay. In our friendship, you have made it loud and clear that we friends. You know, we in this.
Mm-hmm.
But you also haven't hurt my feelings in the same friendship. You know what I mean? Like, never,
okay. Did not
ever
think that's
have
where
I
you were
walked.
going, but okay.
But like, hear me out. Liam, when they were fake dating, versus the Liam who had beef with Mila at all times and literally just kept putting his foot in his mouth, those are two different Liams.
Correct.
And so I want to love Liam from the fake dating, but Liam didn't always act right. Liam.
I know. All I can say is I got the feelies with them. They were very cute to me, and I think just because it.
There's one storyline that I wanted completed that they never did. That prom story of Liam and Mila, I want it. I want the full story because we hinted at it for far too long for me to not know what went down on prom night. I need to know.
I agree. It was, I agree. And then also, like, even the accident, like, I feel like it was a little bit like we just got the details late. Like, we could have learned about it earlier or anyway. I don't know. I got the feelies for them. I just thought it was really cute because a friend of mine told me about this, and I didn't really know about it was a thing until, like, she pointed it out. But it was kind of the whole, like, quiet man, loud woman thing, like, kind of go together. And I never really considered it until I realized a lot of my friends, like, that's actually a trend. And I kind of felt like this is just, like, a good book version of that. Because I feel like you don't see that super often in books. And, I feel like he was very, like, be as big as you are. Like, never try to put her in a pigeonhole or try to calm her down, whatever. It was kind of just, like, let you rock. And I'll be there to support. And the fact, like, even Leo kind of mentioned it. Ooh, I'm going to finish this and then you can jump in and then we can. But even Leo mentioned it when they were talking to the family. When, they were kind of going in on her, whatever. And he stepped in and was kind of like, it's not really my place. This is how I feel. And literally the brother was like, I've never heard you speak that many words ever. And that was purely to step in defense of her. So it's just one of those things where I just felt like, he loved her fiercely, which was adorable, and it was the kind of love that she kind of needed. Him walking away was beyond irritating on so many levels, but like you said, he had some things that he hadn't addressed. Like, even when the grandfather at the end was kind of just like, oh yeah, this is my fault because I did, like, and it was just like, we didn't address these things. He does need to do some more growth. I'm not saying that growth can't be done, like what the grandfather said, with her by your side, but there's definitely some individual leveling up that needs to happen. But I thought that they were cute. They gave me the feelies, and maybe because Puerto Rican culture was very steeped in it, and I'm in Puerto Rico at the time of reading it, I just felt very attached to it.
No,
we'll see. I'll read about this from the mainland and see if I still like it that much.
So here's the thing, right? If I were in your shoes and this was like set in the Bay and it was giving me all those like nostalgic vibes, I would have received this so differently. But considering I can count all the Puerto Ricans I know on one hand, and that includes you, Fat Joe, J-Lo, and like 2 other people, there's nothing nostalgic about this to really hold me into the book.
Honestly, I can't even be mad at you because there's like 3 Puerto Ricans I've met in California. There's just I hear there's a lot of us, but I haven't met them, so I can understand why you don't know that many.
That's the thing, though. Like growing up in California, it's baby Mexico. So like,
what's hilarious
even
is
if
growing
was
up on the East Coast, I know only a couple of Mexicans. Like it's
right. Like I got to the East Coast and I was like, there's all the others.
Everybody's Spanish. It's just different
Mexico?
types. Yeah, it's just different types.
Right. I will say, I did catch the feels, just not for Liam and Mila.
Who'd you catch it for?
For the grandfathers.
Oh my. That's hilarious.
The epilogue where Abuelo is talking to Killian up in the sky.
Yeah.
I cried. Like, yeah. I don't mean just like I got teary-eyed. I mean, I was 2 seconds away from a Kerry Washington ugly cry.
Okay.
The faces you're making, I don't...
Continue.
Listen, when the clouds move and the sun rays come in and it highlights everything, I was so in tears. But then she did it. She did the thing we talked about.
Yep.
She started a whole different story in the epilogue. And I said, ma'am, Miss Ma'am, we gonna have to talk about it. And for those listening and watching, this is not the book I was talking about in the Hot Topics. There's just multiple offenders. Okay? Stop laughing at me.
I'm not laughing at you.
She says that she laughs. But
girl, let's make this book because you're not gonna like it anymore. I'm probably not gonna agree with you anymore, but we read it.
So, what would you rate it?
Can we come back to me?
You have one assignment every week, and every week it's late. At this point, how are you going to get an A in the class if you keep doing this with your homework?
What do you mean? What do you mean late? Like, I just, like... I just need to go last. Like, why do you even call on me first?
You had one job, Jay. You had one job. Read the book.
You know I do not have just one job.
All right, I'll go first. I'll buy you some time.
Thank you.
This book had all the ingredients of a good book. But when you put them together, it just didn't taste right. It didn't sit right with my soul. I feel like for them to have been enemies to lovers, which is why I call them frenemies to lovers, there wasn't enough... How do I phrase this? There just wasn't enough relationship growth. It was one day they were enemies, and the next he was silently staring at her like she was the most beautiful in this world thing, like Helga and Hey Arnold. And I just said, you know, what's Grandpa and Grandpa up to? Because I'm really curious what shenanigans they doing. Like, I really felt like Abuelo and Granddad were, like, bucket list Morgan Freeman and, I'm forgetting his name. But you know who I'm talking about. Yes. And so, you know, if this writer ever decides to, you know, do a little novella of all their little shenanigans, I'll read that. But it's a 2. It's a 2.
You're giving the book a 2? Wow. Wow.
I really wanted to at least put it up to a 3. I did. I wanted to put it at a 3, but when I thought about it and I said, if this wasn't for the podcast, I probably would have DNF'd it.
Ooh, okay. I gotta respect that. Okay, for me, it's a solid 4. It's a solid 4.
I don't know why I just looked so shocked, even though I knew you liked it.
It's a solid 4 for me. It can't go higher because there are things. When I read it again, and that's literally a requirement if it's going to be rated that high, is that I'll read it again, and I will. When I read it again, I'm absolutely going to skim through some parts and be like, nope, keep going. So it is a solid 4.
Hold up.
Okay.
You cannot rate this book a 4 and then say when you reread it you're gonna skim through parts.
Yes, I can. Who said I can't?
Because if you rate it a 4 and you truly enjoy it, because you literally said it might be different if I reread it, but if you're gonna reread it, you have to read the whole thing.
Literally, my rating for a 4 is yes, I would reread, but would make adjustments if I could. That's literally my qualification for rating a book.
I'm not listening to you anymore. We're not doing this nonsense.
All right, guys. Thank you. You can't even hear me because you don't have your headphones on.
Nah, my volume up was mad loud, bro.
Yeah, like you rated a 4. Like, what?
The problem is not with the 4. The problem is with how you reread.
What? I only reread what I want to reread. I'm not going to reread stuff I didn't like. Like the family? Oh, I wanted to fight the whole family. So I'm going to skim past those parts.
Y'all, for those listening and those watching, if you reread a book, how do y'all read it? Please comment below and tell me. Do y'all just skim through it, or do you fully read every page through the good, the bad, the ugly? Please tell me, because I'm one of those people. If I like it enough to reread it, it's the whole dang book. It is what it is. So tell me below.
I'm rejecting your book sarcasm and judgment because you rarely reread a book. I reread a lot. And with that, it can sometimes be time consuming, and I like to not go through the stress of the things I don't want to experience again. That's like watching Grey's Anatomy and being like, oh no, this episode is stressful, skip. It's the same thing.
No, I watch it all. Like, all right, I don't reread a lot, but there's a lot of shows that I rewatch, and I'm telling you right now, I watch it all. All right? I go through that heartache and pain again and again.
I skip episodes. I have literally never seen the plane scene more than once. But I've seen the whole rest of the series multiple times.
All right, y'all. When you're down there...
We'll see y'all next week. Because...
Wait, you just wrapping it up? I feel like this is wrong. We gotta talk to the people for a minute. If y'all have read this book, please tell us down below what y'all thought. And... please don't forget to tell me how y'all reread, because this is going to be a thorn in our friendship for a minute. Jay, do you have any last words for the people at home?
I don't want to say anything else to you about this because I feel like we're just gonna restart fighting. To the people, thank you guys for watching. I'm so serious. I really love it. It's helping us grow our book community. I really generally love, as Chelsie knows, sends a whole bunch of book memes always. So I'm really loving that the community is growing through this. Yes. So thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you guys so much for watching each week. As always, be a donut guy, not an acacia. We love y'all. And see you next week. Peace.